it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and Ascension forecast for Sunday, January 1st to Saturday, January 7th. So before we jump into this week and all the great fun that a brand new year brings, let's hash out what happened last week. Of course, we had Christmas. That was the birth of the sun in the sky. And if you go back and listen to last week's Ascension forecast or even the solstice report, you would know that, of course, the 21st, when the sun moved into Capricorn season, it hung the sun on the cross, the coordinates of the elliptical circle and cycle that the sun goes around. Now, the sun didn't move for 4 days, and that's why Christmas is what it is, because that is when the sun begins to rise again. We get a lot of our traditional Christmas holiday festivities from the pagan holidays, believe it or not. And if you were interested in listening to that rant, please jump over to my Patreon, where I went into great depth on where our Christmas actually came from. But Christmas is a crazy time, brings up all the feels, good, bad, and otherwise. And when the sun is rising once again, at least we have a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity, a little bit of optimism as we come out of that darkness, out of that funk. Of course, Mercury went retrograde on the 29th, and that definitely has done a number on our mental plane, on our thought processes. Mercury being in Capricorn energy is super karmic, super powerful in manifesting. And that's why, even though retrograde, we really have to be careful with what it is that we allow our mental plane to focus on. The Capricorn energy, we want to reflect back. We want to kind of review. We want to look at what was tried, tested, true, and semi-traditional in order for us to gauge what it is that we want to plan for ourselves, the goals that we want to set in our futuristic realm. And now retrograde, we are definitely having to reflect back. You will hear me often say that we're in a time and in a phase right now where a lot of the answers that we're looking for as far as the clarity goes in a futuristic sense can be found in the past. We're going back in order to gain perspective on the future. So Mercury went retrograde. Just hours later, we had our first quarter moon in Aries energy. That definitely added some head pressure, definitely triggered some anger, some frustration, if you will. A lot of that is because Aries energy wants us to move on, wants us to cut ties with the past, just wants us to focus on the future and take action to make moves to align with our futuristic goals. And of course, we're not in a time for that. We're not being supported to do any of that. If anything, we are being forced right now to look back, to reflect, to gain perspective on where it is that we were in survival mode, to gain perspective on some of the things that we might have missed because we were only focused on moving through and growing through what it is that we were going through. Retrogrades are not a bad thing. It gives us a time out. It gives us a pause where we're not exerting ourselves out in the world in order to make things happen. And instead, we can reflect back, really integrate some of the lessons. And in Capricorn energy, we have a lot of spiritual life lessons to review, to integrate, to process. And that first quarter moon in Aries was an action point that we weren't able to take action on. So of course, we wrapped up 2022. And that's a beautiful thing because 2022 was a vibration of 6. That number 6 was about perfection. Many of us struggling to make peace with a lot of the situations that popped off in 2022. Of course, we had a huge, huge factor on our mental health. Definitely a number 6 vibration. We had to take a good look at reorganizing and restructuring our day-to-day lives because of some of the dramatic changes that were taking place. And it was a year of building. You know, we had to take a look at where number 6 rules over in astrology, and that is Virgo energy. And we were attempting to create order out of the chaos. We were attempting to heal our minds, our physical bodies, our physical environments. We were looking to put everything in its place and to make sense out of things. And at the same time, step back and kind of struggle in watching things fall apart. So, not that I want to get too ahead of myself here, because there is a 2023 energy forecast that I put out there, and there is a January energy forecast that kind of breaks down what it is that we're moving into. But 2023 is the vibration of 7. So we're really going to have to be focused on, first of all, relationships, starting with the relationship with ourselves. This is where the inner work is needed. If you haven't been doing the inner work, you're likely going to struggle big time through 2023. Even if you have been doing the work, there are going to be a lot of tests for us to actually implement what it is that we have learned thus far. There's going to be a lot of shadow work to do because, of course, when we take a look at the number 7, we talk about Libran energy. Libran energy is about balancing the scales, really taking a look at where polarized energies are, where extreme energies are, and trying to find a happy middle ground. So yeah, we will be working on the relationships with ourselves. We will be working on the relationship with the rest of the world, with our chosen few people that we are deeming to be of worth and value to have relationships with. But even more than that, this is about finding stability. This is about finding balance. This is about making peace with some of the things that we don't have control over. This is about just recognizing where it is that things have gotten out of whack and where it is that we need things to be balanced once again. It's going to be a long-term goal, long-term effort, but we're jumping into it right away as we move into 2023. So this week, that's where we usher in this new vibration, this new frequency of 2023. And, I kind of feel like we are going to have a lot of focus on our own self-worth, our own self-confidence, our own self-value. And again, that comes down to the relationship with ourselves. We are going to constantly be challenged to listen to our heart space, as, a lot of indications, not only with the number 7 being Venus ruled, but, the moon is in Taurus energy coming into 2023. So that's Venus ruled. And we have Jupiter, the great magnifier, the planet of growth and expansion, setting up shop in Taurus here later this year. So we have a lot of Taurus energy, a lot of Venus ruled energy. We have the true nodes of the moon shifting to Aries and Libran energy as well. Again, Venus ruled. So we're definitely going to be deep in working on ourselves, self-love, self-healing. Of course, when we fill up our own cup, that cup flows over and betters the relationships that we have with everyone else. And we are going to really be tested throughout this particular year because there is going to be a lot of changes that aren't necessarily our choice, but we will have to really rely on listening to our heart space and our intuition on what it is that we feel that we should do and moving forward, and getting pretty real and raw and vulnerable with ourselves as far as listening to what makes us happy. This is about getting back to the basics, the little tiny joys in life, the creature comforts in life, and really just recognizing that we don't have control over much, but what we do have control over is making sure that our days are as jam-packed as possible with things that make our face and our heart space smile. So we have Venus on the move pretty early here in January, because this week she's moving out of this Capricorn energy. She's moving into Aquarian energy. And that is going to be quite a shift. It's going to be a lighter vibe for sure, because things have been very heavy, very low, very slow and serious and somber in this Capricorn energy. Venus kind of takes on the boss bitch type of role in Capricorn energy. She kind of compartmentalizes her feelings and she takes a good look at the matter of facts. And in taking a good look at the matter of facts, she figures out who and what needs to stay, needs to go. And we're able to just cut people out just like that. If it's not for our best and greatest happiness and potential, then we got to take the trash out. So we are going to be kind of thrown that life lesson time and time again over the course of 2023, as well as we find our balance, our happy middle ground, and as we pour into relationships. We also are building to the very first full moon of 2023. We will be having a full moon in Cancer on the 6th, taking place at 16 degrees, 22 minutes. So we are halfway through this Cancer moon cycle. Now, talk about Cancer for a second. Okay, so we have to understand that the moon is in its place of power in Cancer, so there's definitely going to be an intensity there. A full moon is bringing something full circle to a full completion. We can tell what that is going to be about by going back to June and July of 2022, or taking a good look at the topics and themes that Cancer rules over, which is the home, the family dynamic, boundaries. Where is it that we need to take better care of ourselves, and where it is that we need to pull back from being too involved and too immersed in other people's lives? There's a tendency in Cancer energy to have weak boundaries and to pour into others and distract ourselves with other people's lives so that we have an excuse to not better ourselves. Now, this is the feminine divine energy, so we may struggle with particular relationships, especially in the mother relationship. Cancer energy, of course, being the mother vibe. And this full moon is going to be sitting across from Mercury, being retrograde in Capricorn, which is definitely going to have us looking back. Now, Cancer energy has us constantly looking in the past, very nostalgic, romanticizing the past half of the time. We are afraid of letting go of the past, even though that we want something different. We're afraid to let that go. We're taking a good look at our family dynamics, at the foundation of our safety, our security, our stability, not only within our home, within our family dynamics, within our fields, but with our money matters as well. Because, of course, Capricorn energy sits across from Cancer energy. That is kind of the father figure vibe, the masculine energy, if you will, and definitely rules over the career and the finances as well. The Cancer and Capricorn axis is all about safety and security, where our emotions and our home life is concerned, our private lives, and where our career and our finances are concerned, our public lives. So we're definitely going to be all up in the feels. It is a super emotional time anyways. Cancer energy, being a water sign, gets us right in the feels. Our intuition is just pumped up. We're hypersensitive, and our hearts will be full. Now, whether it's full of good or bad or everything in between, that is yet to be determined. So, with that being said, I got a little bit of homework to cover before I jump into the Ascension symptoms of the week. First off, I just want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting and sharing. Thank you so much for all the love, for all the support that you've given me over the course of 2022. I am super appreciative. My words seem to feel super hollow because I feel like there should be better words to express my appreciation to each and every single one of you, but there's not. So all I'm going to say is that I thank you so freaking much, that I love every single one of you so freaking much. And I honestly just hope and pray that we all reap the rewards for some of the pain and the struggle that we've all endured over the course of 2022. I want to thank you for those of you who have jumped over and supported me on Patreon. I am going to go on a Patreon rant for just a second. I was not aware of the fact that Patreon has some bugs. Now, it was brought to my attention that there were people that weren't able to see some of the paid content that they should have been seeing as a paid subscriber. I wasn't aware that some links to my audio rants were hidden. I wasn't aware that some people were locked out of their account and canceled altogether with no notifications whatsoever. It seems like each of my Patreon subscribers are having their own individual experience over there, and that is not what I signed up for. I did put it out there to my Patreon people, like, should I stay here and try and work something out, or should I move everything to my website? The support for me moving everything to my website was overwhelming, so I have some bugs to work out. I'm not sure actually how to do that as of yet, but I'm going to, keep the wheels spinning and see what I can come up with, because I do not like the fact that y'all are trying to support me financially and not even getting what you paid for. That's really bothersome. If you may remember, I tried this out on the YouTube subscriptions and was so freaking disappointed with this platform that I said, screw it. And I canceled everybody's, their subscription. I refunded all their money and I said, nope, not doing that anymore, and thought I was going to have better luck over on Patreon. But I don't know. I'm not very happy with what I've been learning about as far as Patreon goes. So, I apologize to those of you that are affected on Patreon. And for those of you that want to join me over on Patreon, definitely do that. Even sign up for the free account so that you'll get the notifications, or hopefully get the notifications. And I'm not going to deter you from signing up to a membership plan, because the minute that I come up with a better solution, I will let everybody know. And we will just cancel Patreon and jump over to whatever it is that I come up with. So until I can figure out how to shift everything over to my own website, my own platform, I will continue to post the private content for my Patreon subscribers. I'm just super sorry that we're running into these issues. Another little rant I want to go on, but I feel it's important. I want to thank you all so much for your patience with me over these past couple of weeks. As you may know, I did a pretty big move. And moving has absolutely exhausted me to the point where I can't even believe that my brain works well enough to continue to do these forecasts. I know that my posts have been a little bit sporadic. I know that they've been later than normal. I know that I've been kind of slack-a-lacking on that extra kind of bonus content, especially for my paid subscribers. I am super, super freaking sorry. Sometimes I forget that even though I am Superwoman on most days, that even Superwoman can't do everything all in at the same time. And I'm learning hard way again that my energy management skills need a lot of work, because I am overexhausted. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get everything situated in my life and recoup the amount of energy that has absolutely been sucked out of me since, I'm going to say, the beginning of December. It has been a very long month. It has been a very hard adjustment. And I'm just trying to do the best that I can. And I want to thank you all so much for the love, for the support, for the patience that you all have had to have over the last couple of weeks of me just absolutely running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So hopefully I can, get my shit together and enter into 2023 with a little bit more energy, more liveliness, and a little bit more efficiency when it comes to keeping up on my schedule, on my forecasts, on my posts, on my content. I don't know what else to say other than I get too overwhelmed. So thank you so much for your patience. And I am hoping to return to normal programming as we jump into 2023. Okay, so some Ascension symptoms for this week. Well, first of all, the exhaustion is probably going to stay. The heaviness, the slowness, the rigidity in our physical bodies, probably going to stay. Now, why is that? Well, because we're in Capricorn season. The Capricorn season affects, the skeletal structure. It is a very low and slow energy. It is an earth energy. So it definitely feels like we are, weighted down and running through mud, or, better yet, running underwater. And it does not feel good. And I don't necessarily think that is going to shift until the sun actually moves out of Capricorn and moves into Aquarian energy. And that isn't happening until the 20th. Now, a lot of the reason of why we're lacking some physical energy as well is because Mars, who rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, he is just freaking exhausted sitting over there retrograde in Gemini energy. When we hit January 12th and Mars finally goes direct, we will all get a little bit more of a pep in our step, but we got to get through this week first. And I do not feel that we're going to get much energy back. I do feel like we're going to literally feel like we just are dragging our feet behind us. And it is likely going to just kind of be, I'm going to say, intensified as we get closer to the full moon in Cancer. So we might be sleeping all night, but we don't wake up rested. And if you're lucky enough to sleep, I'm sure that your dreams are a little bit darker, a little bit more negative than normal. We do have to watch out, especially with Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn, that we don't, align with the negative Nancy, Debbie Downer type of attitude. There's a high probability of kind of moving into a depressive, pessimistic type of mind frame and funk with that particular energy. And, many of us are living in places of the world where the weather isn't really, helping the darkness, helping the depression, helping the funk either. So it is probably going to be a continuation of the not so good physical vibes that we are feeling right now. I would like to think that the congestion that we've been experiencing is going to lighten the vibe just a tad. However, I don't know that it's going to be that much of a change or a shift for us to feel like we have cleared this very random, very infrequent type of, I'm going to say, cough, cold, runny nose, head cold, and then like hours later, it's gone. And then, the next day, it's back. And there's really no rhyme or reason for it. It does feel, like you're always on the verge of getting sick. And just when you think you're getting better, it comes back again. And I just feel like a lot of that is because Mercury went retrograde. So there's always some head pressure, always some congestion. But B, I feel like we are definitely trying to clear the air, clear our systems out. We're not moving as much, which means that everything is kind of stagnant. Everything is kind of like yucky. The solstice energy brought in a brand new karmic chapter for us and a recalibration, a realignment of our inner realm and kind of our bodily functions as well. If you're having lymph node issues, so like swollen nodes in your throat or under your arms or in your groin area, a lot of that is just because the gunk is getting trapped in our detox systems. And you can do lymphatic massage. Look it up on YouTube. There's a lot of really easy, super helpful pinpoints that you can kind of pressurize on your body to open up those gates and have your lymph node channels kind of clean themselves. But I think that, overall, there's a lot of congestion. And with Venus, especially on the move, we're going to feel a lot of pressure in our heart chakras. This is, anytime Venus is on the move, we have to expect there to be heart activations. So not that I want to repeat myself, but, for those of you who don't know, heart activations can come in a couple of different forms. It can feel like a tightness in the chest. It can feel like you have a gas bubble in your chest. It can come in like rapid heart rate. It can come in like a little bit of a irregular heartbeat. It can feel like you could feel like your heart is about to burst with happiness, with grief. It doesn't matter. It's still an activation. If you're feeling it in the front, then that is a good sign that you are, having these activations in order to clear the way for the hopes, the wants, the needs, the desires that your heart is setting yourself up for in a futuristic pursuit. However, if you are having like shoulder pain or, tightness in your back, that is the back part of your heart chakra, and that would suggest that you're struggling to let go of some past pain, some past trauma, some, past experiences. And, we definitely have to work on making sure that we are free and clear, especially moving into a brand new year. We want to align with the vibrations and the frequencies that are going to help us clean the gunk out and prepare the foundation and the slate for the new experiences to actually have a place to be built off of. So having Venus move out of Capricorn energy, which, like I said, has been low and slow, and move into Aquarian energy, where we're, futuristically thinking and feeling, and we're visualizing and we're manifesting. And one thing that I want to say is to pay attention to who crosses your path at this time. The connections that we're making, especially with Venus being focused on relationships, focused on love and money. And the Aquarian energy of just having wild card events and like expect the unexpected, we are focused on meeting up with like-minded people. And it's very important to pay attention to who enters into your realm when Venus is in Aquarius energy, because they are likely going to be some kind of key player in bringing your dreams, your goals to life. And it might not make sense at the start, and nothing is going to make sense right now because Mercury is retrograde. However, as we kind of proceed through January, we are going to be gaining huge amounts of insight. We have to consider the fact that Venus isn't going to be in Aquarius energy for too long. By the time January is over, she's going to shift into Pisces energy, which is a totally different ball game. But in Aquarian energy, we're having aha moments, we're having epiphanies, we're having unexpected wild card events. We are having, meeting the right people at the right time. We're having just a totally different perspective of how it is that we are relating to the world around us, how we're connecting to the people in our lives, how we are, coming up with some solutions to some of the problems in our relationship dynamics that we would have got illuminated to while Venus was in Capricorn energy. But the heart and the head, they're going to be on one. Okay. Venus is the heart space. The Aquarian energy is the higher octave of the mental plane. So when we talk about the mental plane, we talk about Mercury because that rules over our egoic avatar. When we talk about Aquarian energy, that's like our higher self. That is the higher intellect. That is where we get like great ideas, like just moments of freaking genius when we just see the relationship dynamics from a different perspective. And we should be, at this particular point in time, really plucking out some silver linings and really examining where it is that we kind of have to change things up a bit. And, the Aquarian energy comes at us and wants us to be open to change, like spontaneous change, if you will. And we're easily able to shift things and adapt to change and not be so resistant to it. And, I think that because we're coming into a new year, because, we're in the vibration of 7, focused on relationships, because this is kind of like a Venus ruled time, I would say that we are going to have major revelations, major perspective shifts and understanding shifts. That's totally going to change our emotions, change our heart space. Because the minute that you have an aha moment and we see things from a different set of eyes, it changes the way that we feel. And when we change the way that we feel, that's a different vibration. It's a different frequency. And therefore we release, we let go, we put an end to something in order for us to realize what it is that we need to prepare for moving on, moving forward in a futuristic sense. So pay attention to the opportunities that come at you and the people that actually cross your path. Like I said, it has a lot to do with aligning with like-minded people. It has a lot to do with new opportunities for like love and romance and connection, but also money issues are Venus ruled as well. And, we just came out of the Capricorn energy. So we were setting some goals for ourselves. We were looking for stability. We're looking for safety and security in our finances and our resources. And this Aquarian energy is just adding an extra level of genius to how it is that we're going to kind of stabilize some of the financial issues that we are definitely aware of, that we definitely don't want to deal with, and that we definitely want to make better. So with the solstice, we had another activation, another upgrade, if you will, in our psychic abilities, in our sensitivities, in our perceptions. And Lord, with that moon in Pisces, wow, that was an over emotional time, I would say. So we're talking like, I'm going to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We were all up in those Pisces vibes, and it wasn't a good jam at all. So glad to get out of that. But it was necessary. We had to bring, the new abilities online. We had to feel things super intensely, super deeply in order to kind of gauge where the new sensitivities are taking over, where the new abilities are trying to be activated. And that Pisces energy definitely drove us right into the deep end of our feels. So you might experience a little bit of spaciness in your head, not being able to really follow a thought through. Although with Capricorn energy, it makes it a little bit easier to stay focused. However, Mercury is retrograde. He's drugged. He's drunk. He's in his unconscious state. He's not perceiving the world around him the way that he should. And there's all of this unconscious knowing coming to the surface, and we feel like something's different. We feel like something's off, but we can't really, pinpoint it. We couldn't explain it if you paid us. And, with that, we're unable to speak properly. We're a little bit more quiet and introverted with the Capricorn energy anyways. But now it's like we go to say something and, it's like the first time we've ever tried to speak. And that can be super frustrating. And your mind goes blank, and you want to be able to formulate how it is that you're thinking and feeling and the ideas that you're kind of, putting out there. But it's hard. It is hard to do. And we can blame Mercury for that. Speaking of the head, we're likely going to experience a very itchy scalp. And I'm not saying we got bugs. I ain't saying dandruff. I'm just saying, our crown is itchy, our head space, there's a lot of pressure there. There's a lot of energy coming in and out, and it feels very agitating, very irritable, and it's very, very itchy and uncomfortable. And, we might even find that itchiness move into our ears, because our ears are going through this whole recalibration. I'm not even just talking about ear ringing that comes with downloads. I'm talking about feeling like you have water in your ears, like your ears are plugged or muffled. I know many people are having ear infections right now. Just be mindful. Take a moment and just ask yourself, is there a lot going on in the world that I just don't want to hear about? Is there somebody coming at me, talking at me that I just don't want to listen to? Because when we have issues with our ears, it's because we don't want to hear things. It's because we're trying to block certain sounds, certain words, certain information out. And when we have that dis-ease in our energetic bodies, it can manifest as physical problems like ear infections. Now, I would say to pay attention to the change in the wax buildup in your ears, because that could be contributing a lot to the sensory issues that we're having. We just went through this re-lubrication process with the solstice energy, if you will, and that can turn the volume all the way up on our excretions. And that could definitely mean that there's a higher volume of earwax than normal, and that could definitely turn into a problem. The itchiness in the ears kind of feels like we need to stick something in our ear holes and itch our brain. A lot of that is, again, contributed to Mercury being retrograde and just this itchiness. Just keep in mind that itchiness is an indicator that we're healing something. So it's almost good that we're itchy in our scalp, itchy in our heads, because we're healing our thoughts, we're healing our narratives, we're healing our perspectives, our understanding. Itchiness in the ears, we're healing the way that we accept information. We are essentially working on the way that we bring information in. So that would be a good sign. But I think the itchiness might even extend this week to the back of your throat, the roof of your mouth, when you're needing to really pressurize your tongue against the roof of your mouth. And it feels like you want to swallow your tongue just to itch it at the furthest point in the back of your throat. I feel like that is happening as well. We have to keep in mind that Mercury rules over communication as well. And right now we're not very communicative. We're not able to speak properly. We're not able to articulate our thoughts and put them in words. And because of that, we're having like a throat activation. And there's an itchiness that takes over. Hopefully it stays itchy. It doesn't turn into a sore throat. If you have a sore throat, then there's probably something that you need to speak on. And as difficult as it may be to speak at this particular point, if you have a sore throat, there is a good indication that whatever it is that you're hesitant to speak on is actually creating inflammation, creating that heat, creating that, fire in your mouth and on your tongue. I want to talk about sore and like swollen fingers. And again, this has come and gone over the last couple of months where our palm chakras are trying to be healed and come online. Our palm chakras are, responsible for directing the energy. There's a reason why all the wizards have a little wand, and it's because the wand is the extension of our hands, of our fingers. And that's where the energy comes out. We have a receiving hand, we have a giving hand. Energy comes in and energy goes out. But overall, it feels very sore. It feels like they're swollen. They could even be red. You could get cuts on your fingers or break nails or have hangnails, if you will. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of intensity going on in our hands. You could notice that maybe your hands are sweating, but yet your hands are super dry and maybe even cracked because they're dry. It's a temperature fluctuation thing. It's a moisture thing. It is a recalibration issue of us trying to get the energy out of our freaking bodies and direct it in a way that would be helpful. And many of us are lacking direction and focus right now. So the energy gets all like verklempt and cluster effed in our hands, and we see swollen, sore fingers because of it. Now, talking about sore and swollen, how's your guts doing? I know that many people are having digestive issues, not only because they ate a bunch of crap that they shouldn't have ate around Christmas time or drank too much alcohol or, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but there's a lot of nausea kicking in. And as we approach the full moon in Cancer, we're likely going to have even more stomach dysfunction as Cancer energy kind of rules over not necessarily the digestive system, not necessarily the stomach in particular, but we're hypersensitive. We have all kinds of emotions. We're a little bit more of a worrywart, and all of that affects the nerves and our digestive system. Pay attention to your guts. Pay attention to the elevator feels that you get in your guts for no reason. Try to connect it with a thought or with a idea or with an emotion that you might not be consciously aware of. There is always a reason of why we have these little flutters, these little spasms in our physical body, but we just have to have the awareness enough in order to connect it and tie it to whatever it is that we're thinking and whatever it is that we're feeling. With the digestive issues, you might be having some problems in the bathroom. Now, not to get too gross, but I would say if I was a betting girl, which I am not, I would say that more people are struggling with constipation issues than anything else. And a lot of that is because we're holding on to dear life from the past. We know that we're walking into a new situation, a new cycle, a new season. And as much as we've been praying for change, we don't have the clarity to make us feel confident about it. And when we hold on to emotions, to thoughts, to ideas, to memories, we in our physical bodies actually hold on to that literal crap. Now, what I will say is that if you are experiencing the constipation side of things, you will have a huge release come the full moon in Cancer on the 6th. And as we build towards that particular event towards the end of this week, not only will you feel the floodgates open in the lower realm of your physical body, but you will likely feel the floodgates open in the higher realms of your physical body. Hopefully, it just comes out as tears. Let's hope and pray for that. But there is going to be a huge release. Full moons are always a time for releasing. Cancer energy is a water sign, so there's a lot of waterworks that come with that. And we're all up in the feels. We have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to celebrate, but we have a lot that we need to let go of too before we go ahead and actually start building our new lives, our new realities, our new experiences in this brand new year. So with that, you may be having a lot of cramps, a lot of spasms, a lot of discomfort in your legs, maybe higher up in your thighs, maybe in your knees or your ankles. Regardless, you have to take a good look at whether you know what direction you're walking in or not, because if you lack direction, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of thigh issues. B, if you notice that a lot of the pain is in your knees, that's where we trap fear. And of course, there is a lot of fear going into a brand new system, a brand new cycle, a brand new year, a brand new chapter of your life. There's a lot of fear that comes along with that. And if you're having issues with your ankles or the lower parts of your legs, then that is just a hesitancy, knowing that you have to take a step forward, even knowing what that first step forward may even be, but hesitant to take it. So many of us are going to be experiencing these leg or thigh cramps or spasms or tremors or just uncomfortability because, again, we are in this awkward stage of walking away from things, but not really knowing what it is that we're walking towards. And, Capricorn season having us heavy and weighted. We're dragging our feet anyways. Everything is low and slow. Everything is kind of, janked up, popping, clicking, just snapping in our skeletal systems. That really doesn't help the whole vibe in the legs and in the thighs. So as uncomfortable as it may be, my best advice is to dance it out. Keep moving that physical body. Energy is, let's say emotion is energy in motion, but we have to keep the energy in motion in our physical bodies in order to keep the energy channels, the meridians, well lubed, open, easily accessible for all of this gunk that we're working on releasing to actually have a pathway to exit our physical bodies, to exit our physical forms. So guys, I think that's all that I'm going to talk about for this week. I want to wish you the happiest transition possible from leaving 2022 behind and jumping into 2023. Again, I want to thank you for being here, for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, for all the love and support that you have given my way over the last year. And I really hope and pray that I still continue to have your support moving into 2023. I send you the most love possible. Please know that you're not alone, that you are very important to this world, to this great grand mission that we are all here trying to play out. And I just hope that we are all able to just kind of align with one another, to open up our head space, to open up our heart space, to, energetically kind of link arms, link souls, and walk forward into this new year and enter into this phase in this chapter where we have to continue building new earth. I'm sending you so much love. I wish you nothing but the best, and we'll talk to you super, super soon.